So one of the things that we know is that sometimes people who have difficulty with anxiety and things like that have also had some bad experiences in their lives. So I'm going to ask you some questions about some of your difficult experiences that you may have had. And I'm just going to ask sort of yes or no questions. I only need sort of headlines. I don't need a lot of detail about the things that happened right now, but I'm just going to ask you those questions. And if anything about this interview starts to make you uncomfortable, you can take a break. If I ask a question you don't want to answer, you can just say pass, and I'll just move on. So it's really up to you what you share, but I do want to ask you these questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you ever been physically hurt by anyone, either as a child or an adult, hit?
Yeah, I had a boyfriend a couple years ago, and he would hit me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not together anymore, so.
Mm-hmm. Was there other kinds of physical abuse? Did he do more than hit you? Was there anything?
No, he would just slap me sometimes. Usually when he was, like if he'd had a really hard day at work, and maybe he would be drinking or something, he would slap me when he got home. But I got out of that, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good that you recognize that was really not acceptable behavior, and that you didn't want that in your relationship, and it's great that you were able to get away from that. That's really good self-care, that you were able to make that decision and make a different choice and create more safety for yourself. That's really good.
Thanks.
What about sexually? Has anybody ever, when you were a child or as an adult, touched you against your will? Anything like that?
Yeah. I don't really want to talk about it though, but yeah,
Okay.
when I was little.
How little? Just vaguely.
Like 10, I think.
Okay, and was it a family member or a stranger or?
It was a family member, but I don't really like talking about it.
Okay,
so.
You don't have to. Okay, great. Thank you for telling me that much. That's really all I need for right now. Although it may be important for you to talk about that later at some point, you can wait until you're ready.
Okay.
Okay. As a child, sometimes parents aren't very available, don't provide basic food, clothing, shelter, that kind of thing. Did you ever have that experience of being neglected? What's going on, Trisha?
I don't like all these questions.
Yeah, it's starting to get uncomfortable, huh? You feel that somewhere in your body? You feeling that in your body? Yeah. Sometimes these questions can bring up very difficult things. I know. Sorry. When you're feeling like this, what helps you?
My cat.
Tell me about your cat.
She's a jerk.
She's a jerk?
Yeah. She's not very friendly. She's friendly to me though. When I'm really upset, she'll like cuddle with me on the bed and stuff. So she knows when I'm really upset, but
It's great that she knows.
yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
She's just kind of a jerk. She'll bite and scratch at whoever.
What's her name?
Persephone.
Persephone. That's a great name for a cat.
She came with it, and I decided to just leave it.
Wow. I like it a lot. great. It's wonderful to have a cat named Persephone who's good at helping you when your feelings are difficult. That's really good. That's you know, that's a blessing there. Can we go on with the interview now?
Yeah, I guess.
You okay about continuing? Okay. I'm going to ask you some different questions. I want to ask you a little bit about your living situation. So, what kind of housing do you live in?
I have an apartment.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you lived there?
Almost a year.
So not that long. And who do you live with?
Just the cat.
Just Persephone. Okay. Do you feel safe where you live?
Safer than when I was homeless.
Mm-hmm. Safer, but maybe not entirely safe?
Yeah.
Yeah. What makes you not feel that safe where you live?
I have kind of a landlord situation.
Difficult relationship with your landlord?
You could say that.
Can you tell me about it?
I don't make a lot of money, and my hours got cut at work recently, and he said he was going to evict me, and I really didn't want to be homeless again. So he said if I had sex with him that I wouldn't have to pay my rent.
Wow. That's really hard. It makes sense. So you agreed to that?
I didn't want to be homeless again.
That's right. And in order to survive, anyone is going to do what they have to do, right? But it sounds like...
That's what I keep telling myself.
Mm-hmm. But it's also upsetting you a lot.
I just keep thinking, like, what if somebody finds out? And now I told you, so obviously people are going to find out.
Well, what do you mean, people?
Well, I mean, don't you have to tell people when stuff like that happens?
No, actually, what you and I discuss is between us, and you'll get to decide what you want to do about that situation. So we can talk about it, but you get to decide. I only have to disclose if you're going to kill yourself or someone else. To somebody else. Those are, or if you're abusing an elder, those are the circumstances under which I have to let other people know.
Okay.
So this is something that's just for you and I to talk about. And as part of, our work together, we can decide what's the best way to take care of yourself going forward. So it's entirely up to you what we do from here. And I totally appreciate the courage it took to let me know that was happening. And I'm happy to be with you as you sort out what's really the best path for you going forward for your own well-being. We'll work on that together. Does that make sense to you?
Kind of. No one's ever said it to me like that before, so I thought you had to tell people, but
no.
If not, that...
No. And I should tell you that, remember how I said earlier in the interview that people who've had adverse experiences like sexual abuse in their past or physical abuse in their past, that sometimes that's connected to what happens going forward?
Yeah.
Well, it's not, it's really common for girls who've experienced sexual abuse later in life to end up using or being in a position where they end up using that for survival purposes. So what you're experiencing is actually probably a lot more common than you think. But just like you didn't want to talk about it, you know, the reason you don't know that other people are doing that is because they don't often talk about it. So that way you think you're the only one in the world who ever ended up in this position, and you know, but in reality, lots of girls who've experienced sexual abuse grow up, and it changes, you know, something that then, you know, they end up putting themselves, you know, they end up in situations. Now, obviously, you didn't create this situation, right? Your landlord is the one who is proposing to use his position of power to get you to do something that isn't what you want to do. And you're not responsible for his doing that. You're not. You're just doing what you've learned to do to help you survive. And we can work together for you to figure out what other options you have and what else you can do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Thanks. Thanks for being so open.